G'day, Dennis Bills from life-skills.com.au here again. Today I'm going to continue my series on transitional skills for young adults as they move from secondary school to life thereafter by talking about smart shopping and surviving on a limited budget and managing your income and your expenditure as best you can. I originally intended to make this particular video quite a while back, but since we're in the midst of COVID, quite a few things have come up in regard to business, and believe it or not, I actually caught the regular common flu in the midst of it all, and you can probably still hear the repercussions on my voice. For those young people, particularly those young people in Sydney and Melbourne who are in lockdown and have been for quite some time, I know that the evidence is that it's been quite difficult to cope with, and particularly those young people doing in the midst of study, year 12, tertiary education, apprenticeships, traineeships, TAFE or whatever. These young people, a lot of these young people are also the same young people who are struggling on meagre incomes and trying to pay their rents if they're living independently, or just survive while they don't have much income. So this is for you. Of course, this entire series is for you. But if you're looking for a bit more information, you can go to my website, life-skills.com.au, and refer to the resources section and have a look at my original video, introductory video, that talks about things you can do while you're in lockdown to get yourself in a better position, so that when lockdown does end and things get back to some sort of normal, you have all the things that you need in place to relaunch yourself into whatever it is that you're about to take on. For those kids in year 12, and I know it's been an absolutely tragic year for those young people that their school life is culminating in something as ordinary as COVID lockdown. A lot of young people are worried about their potential for getting into universities and getting into courses and getting into apprenticeships, traineeships and jobs afterwards, and I can understand that it's would be a weight bearing down on you, but I think it's important to understand that universities too are not capable of taking students at the moment, and a lot of universities are shut down have been for entire semesters. So there's every chance that they'll be looking to increase their intake as soon as this COVID period has been overcome, in whatever form that takes. But I dare say that whatever course that you want to get into, there's every chance that you'll still get into that course irrespective of what happens with your year 12 mark. If it's something that you really want to do, a lot of courses have interviews and go on references and go on, and your ATAR may not have the same influence or be required as much as it has been in the past. That's all up in the air at the moment. But right now I'd like to talk about ways for you to save money and live within a budget. And my previous video was in regard to young people surviving on JobKeeper and my analysis of whether that was actually possible. So if you'd like to take a look at that, I think it was video number 3. The original video number 1, my introductory video, was about getting yourself in order and taking control of your circumstances and taking some control in a period of time, at a period of time where you feel that you have none. Just small things that you can do to get yourself, to give yourself some management over your current environment and your current circumstances. But now to smart shopping. So whether you're already earning an income or whether you're barely surviving on limited funds, I think we all have something to gain by budgeting and stretching our finances as best we can. Of course, it's not always easy, especially with the commercial world doing everything they can to keep us spending. But I'd guess that most young people would already know some of the tricks of the trade that advertisers and marketers already use on us, like how they strategically position certain products in certain positions on certain shelves, mainly because their research already tells them that a good proportion of us will definitely notice and purchase these items. Yet to me, it's amazing that despite most of us already knowing many of these tricks and tactics that retailers and marketers use on us, we still continue to buy on impulse and therefore continue to push our budgets to breaking point. That's why it's better to go shopping with a budget, with a list, and with a plan, even if the plan is something as simple as promising yourself not to buy anything that's not already on your list. It's also important that you learn to distinguish between the things that you absolutely need as compared to the things you want. Now, the notes that I'm using in this vlog are immediately taken from my upcoming book, Lessons in Life, a transition guide for young people as they move from secondary school to adulthood. I also want to reiterate that I'm going to make this book, once it's completed, available for free. The digital copy will be for free and the printed copy will be just for the cost of printing. So anything that I talk about in any of these videos will be available in a digital or printed form. A lot of the information that I have given you and will be giving you over the next few months also comes with in the book with lots of web links and QR codes that you can just scan on with your mobile phone and go directly to the link where a lot of the information comes from. But it's also important that you learn to distinguish between the things that you absolutely need as compared to the things you want. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up buying a whole lot of things that you don't need or can't afford. And that reminds me of that famous saying by Walter Slezak about people spending money they don't have for things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. I think at some time or other, most of us have been guilty of buying things we don't need or can't afford. Hopefully, though, we weren't buying them just to impress others. If you're already on a tight budget, which I know a lot of you are, particularly if you're still trying to live independently, and if your work was casualised and therefore you're not receiving an income from your work, but you may be receiving a boost in job seeker, then it's crucial that you not only reduce your spending, but that you also get more bang for your hard-earned buck. But at this particular stage of your life, you shouldn't expect to have five-star fixtures and furniture anyway, because surely second-hand can still be cool or even on trend. Anyway, surely real friends don't judge each other on their clothes, their belongings, or the decor in their homes, or they shouldn't anyway. So just like shopping for food, when you're shopping for furniture, you should first consult your budget. That's because it's always better to know your financial limits before you reach the checkout rather than after. And given that there are so many genuine budget food, furniture and clothing outlets out there nowadays, including many that you won't find without doing a bit of research for yourself, maybe the time has come for you to look a bit harder. So let's look at what not to buy. I'd definitely be avoiding any second-hand electrical products that haven't been tested and tagged to Australian standards. As a general rule, I also tend to avoid most second-hand items that are more than 50% of the price of the same item brand new. That is, unless the seller's prepared to negotiate. You should also be on the lookout for any dodgy, just fell off the back of the truck type deals, or anything else that seems too good to be true, whether you're buying online or from down at your local shopping strip. Another general rule I tend to use is that if anything appears to be too good to be true, then it usually is. And a lot of people have still put it to the test and come up short, including myself. There's also a chance that the product you're about to purchase is either a fake or has been stolen. or may not work the way that it's intended to work. In time, you should also come to understand why your phone or your computer has suddenly started sending you advertisements for similar items that you've recently researched on the net. The main reason for this is because you probably haven't tweaked the privacy details of your internet search engine well enough, or perhaps sufficiently adjusted the notifications on your phone. What it means though is that they're watching you, but only because they can, mainly because you haven't done enough to stop them. Another thing that will definitely help you conserve your money is to train yourself to see through the hype of advertising by becoming a cynical critic of advertising. Or at least that's what works for me. What I discovered over time was that you can usually respond to most commercials in 3 simple ways. The first one is in disbelief, where you just go, bullshit, that's not right. That's not right, that's not true. The second way is by disagreeing, as if that product can do what they're saying it can do. The third way is through rejection, by just saying, yeah, nah, I don't have the money, not interested, sorry. And the fourth one, which works really well too, is with disinterest. Who cares? Who cares? Good luck with that, but who cares? And if you don't believe me, you should give it a go. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to pick a hole in just about any advertisement that comes on TV, no matter how much they spruik the product, no matter how much they fashion it so that it looks like it's absolutely applicable to you and that you must have one. You'd be surprised with how little you actually need to get by on a day-to-day basis. Also, I'd like to mention buy now and pay later deals. At some point in time, you're probably going to encounter a retail offer that allows you to purchase and take home a brand new item, but without paying a cent for it up front, but also without accruing any interest, often for up to 3 years. I know, almost sounds too good to be true. These types of loans are usually available when purchasing things like household furniture and electricals. My advice, though, is to avoid these types of deals as best you can. From where I stand, they pose a similar debt risk to a credit card, and that's because at some point in time in the future, you're still going to have to find the money to pay for whatever it was that you bought. And that's because the debt doesn't go away. It doesn't help that some sellers have also been known to under-explain the terms of the contract that you've entered into. With these types of loans, there seems to be a tendency for some people to then forget about their loan, even though they might still be enjoying the benefits of this new possession. Sometimes this can happen because they've either borrowed beyond their capacity to repay the money, or some other new expense may have come into the equation, meaning that you haven't paid back anything on your loan. Often though, it's the length of time that you're not required to make payments that gives you a false sense of security, and you believe that you still have time on your side. So it's amazing just how quickly that time can pass without you having paid a single dollar off your loan, thereby leaving your debt staring you fairly and squarely in the face, but right up to the day where you were supposed to have it paid off. I'm thinking that you'd probably be better off to go without the product for a bit longer and perhaps give yourself time to try and save the money instead. Maybe by making regular deposits into your savings account, which I've talked about in a previous video, before purchasing the product outright. Another problem with these interest-free loans is that once the interest-free period is expired, you then can discover that the interest rate that you're required to pay is much higher than expected. So as with managing a credit card, these types of loans are best suited to people with a proven track record in managing and paying off loans. Let's talk about lay-bys and buying second-hand products. Lay-bys are a much better way of paying items off. With lay-bys though, the shop actually keeps the goods until you've made all your payments. There are also a few other conditions attached to lay-bys, like a time limit for paying it off and a need to make regular payments. That's why you need to make sure you understand the agreements you're about to enter into before you enter into them. The retailer should also provide you with a copy of the conditions of your agreement, as well as an updated statement after each payment.